How's it going, guys? Welcome back to my channel and time for another episode of Luke's Reviews. Welcome to 2023, and boy oh boy, we are kicking things off with a combo review and a double bill for the ages. We'll be taking a look at the ever-captivating Cate Blanchett in a new movie, Tar, but first up, we have another film featuring another dominant female lead performance in the form of a potential new horror icon known as M3GAN, or M3GAN, whichever it is.
I designed M3GAN to protect Katie from feeling lonely. She will recognize you as her primary user, and when you do that, you're gonna pair with her.
Crazy. It's insane, right?
M3GAN is the brainchild of horror maestro James Wan and screenwriter Akela Cooper, most known for 2021's wild horror Malignant. Here we have a young girl who is the sole survivor of a car crash who now has to live with her aunt, who works as a toy designer. Lo and behold, she comes up with a brand spanking new toy in the form of M3GAN, an AI doll who is programmed to care for their primary user and learn as they go along. But what do you know, M3GAN soon turns into a cold-blooded killer and a pretty neat dancer too. Similar to Malignant, I think it's very important that you know what you're in for with M3GAN. Luckily, I actually feel like the marketing for this film has done a brilliant job in outlining that, so audiences go in and they're aware that they're not necessarily going to expect a horror film, but more of a suspense/comedy. Emphasis on the comedy. Because M3GAN is really freaking funny. Honestly, it's probably funnier than the majority of comedies that were released last year. Much of the humor derives from M3GAN herself, whether it be delivered stone-cold, savage lines, or incredibly sassy glances mere moments before her next kill. This had myself and the entire audience that I saw it with howling. And once you realize that the film's primary intentions are simply to entertain, then, at least for me, you can just look to sit back and enjoy your time at the movies watching this carnage completely unfold. M3GAN, or M3GAN, is undoubtedly the film's best thing going for it, because she is precisely what you want, and when compared to the human characters in this film, they are so unlikable or severely underwritten. You're just rooting for her to give them their just desserts. As for negatives, it does take its sweet time to get going. I think whenever the action isn't focused on M3GAN, you really are just twiddling your thumbs waiting for something of interest to happen. And also, despite it being rated a 15 over in the UK, overseas in America it's a PG-13, and I don't know why it's a 15 over here, but you can really tell that this would have benefited so much more with leaning into that adult rating. Give us the gore, give us the violence, give M3GAN dropping F-bombs that's so ridiculous and would really fit the tone. And so I felt like it was almost holding itself back a little. But on the whole, I really do recommend giving M3GAN a viewing. If you're after a night out at the movies where you can laugh, feel a bit on edge, and watch a child doll massacre some folks while dancing around, then M3GAN is what you need. I'm totally up for seeing M3GAN slay again and again, as well as whatever Akela Cooper is cooking up next. I'm going to give M3GAN a 7.5 out of 10. Next up, we move from one intimidating female presence to another, as Cate Blanchett is looking like she is thundering her way to another potential Oscar with Tar.
Time is the thing. Time is the essential piece of interpretation. You cannot start without me. I start the clock. However, unlike a clock, sometimes my second hand stops, which means time stops.
Lydia Tarr is a world-renowned composer and conductor set to make a landmark performance in the coming days. However, in amongst the turbulent rehearsals, she also has to compete with past demons that are on the verge of disrupting her monumental fame and success, as well as causing her to lose touch with reality entirely. Not to put too fine a point on it, but Tar is basically a 2.5-hour showreel of why Cate Blanchett's name should always be mentioned in the conversation of who is the greatest living actor working today. She is nothing short of spectacular in this film. The film opens with an almost 20-minute interview that goes really quite in-depth into who Lydia Tarr is as a person, her success, and Cate Blanchett performs it all with such ease that you really do just simply buy into the fact that Lydia Tarr feels like a real person. I had to go onto Google to search up if Lydia Tarr is either based on a real person or is in fact a real person. But no, she's entirely fictional. Yet the work that Todd Field does with the screenplay and Cate Blanchett's performance all make it feel so overwhelmingly real and authentic. And diving into Blanchett's performance even more, there's a real strong element that also circles around the movie as an overriding theme, and that is the understanding, the relationship, and also the consequence of power. Power, as the film very clearly demonstrates, has the simultaneous possibility of building everything a person could ever wish for, and at the same time, systematically destroying that altogether. And so through Blanchett's performance, whenever Lydia Tarr is in a room, the power is with her. She is in complete control. And it's only until around about, I'd say about halfway through the film, when there's a moment where she isn't. And at that point, the film spirals into her desperately trying to cling on to this power, not necessarily knowing that she is. And it all becomes very, very fascinating. Todd Field does a brilliant job directing this, marking his return to filmmaking after a 16-year hiatus. He chooses to film incredibly long takes where the camera is either totally stagnant or it's pursuing Tarr, almost like her own transgressions are chasing her. Nina Hoss and Nomi Molant give terrific supporting performances too, and the soundscape of the film is excellently realised, capturing the sounds of the orchestra but also the noises that Tarr is picking up on that are really just burying their way into her mind. It is quite long, and perhaps it's too long for its own good. I also won't lie that the film does almost feel a bit like, to coin the phrase, inside baseball, where you have characters that are having these detailed, very, very detailed conversations about classical music and composers and understanding music, and it's written and performed in such a way that if you don't know that, if you aren't familiar with any of these terms or any of these people, you do feel like you're just being left behind. It can often feel a little pretentious. I don't think that was the intention, but it can't help but feel that way. But then I also do think that that is somewhat kind of forgiven because of the way that this film decides to deal with things like cancel culture, especially as it builds towards a climax that is so unique. I honestly thought I was being pranked for a second until everything in my mind clicked into place, and I was like, wow, this is actually a perfect ending.
Cate Blanchett!
Just give her the Oscar now. She is truly remarkable in this film, in complete control of a very fascinating character study, and technically it's very impressive also, as Todd Field crafts this story in his own unorthodox manner. And while it isn't perhaps a film I'd necessarily opt to watch again in a hurry, I did find myself invested in the story, the domineering presence of Tarr herself, and the themes and discussion of power and control. So I'm going to give Tarr a 7 out of 10. Anyway guys, those were my thoughts on M3GAN and Tarr. Let me know, have you had the chance to see either of these yet? What did you think? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. But that is all we have time for here today. Thank you very much for watching. Here's to 2023. I can't wait to see what it brings us. But I hope to see you in the next video. Hello, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have, make sure to click that like button. And if you aren't already, click that subscribe button too.